Lincoln 300. First of all, I want to say that I've really been impressed with your discussions in the previous week on the Declaration of Independence. The class as a whole has done great. You have really pulled out a lot of detail about both the Declaration of Independence itself, in looking at the article from Lehrman about Abraham Lincoln and the Declaration of Independence, and from looking at David Armitage's article on the global impact of the Declaration of Independence. I feel that you all have really got a firm understanding of that document. You've definitely made some connections about how it impacts us today, how we view that document today, and how it has changed over time. So this week we're moving to our next historical document. This too also had an impact on the United States, even though we don't use it today, and that is the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation really served as the United States' first constitution. Now, its full name is actually the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. It was drafted at the same time that our nation was being founded, when, in fact, our nation started out as a confederation of 13 sovereign states. It was drafted by the Continental Congress in 1776 and actually went to what would be the eventual states for ratification in 1777. It was formally ratified by and completed by 1781. So, what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be understanding how it provided international legitimacy for the Continental Congress, and we're also going to be looking at how it allowed the federal government to operate domestically as well. One thing you're going to note as you read through this document, and one thing I really want you to pay attention to, is look for opportunities as you go through and think, is this the powers that a federal government needs? Or do you think that those articles are too weak? Because in 1781, in fact, and even in 1776 and 1777, a group known as the Nationalists felt that the Articles of Confederation provided for a too-weak federal government. And you'll see what we mean as we go through. So, at the completion of this unit, if you go to your unit objectives, you'll see that you should be able to describe the contents of the Articles of Confederation. You should be able to identify the weaknesses found within that document. As you go through and read the articles attached to it, you'll also understand the founders' fears of an overly powerful government and really pay attention to what not so much the Articles of Confederation allows the government to do, but what it limits them in being able to do. And as you think about that, think about how fears of a too powerful federal government continue to play a role in our politics today. And as a final point, you should be able to explain how the Articles of Confederation laid an important foundation for the establishment of this nation. So if you'll move further down to your reading assignment, you'll see there's a selection of articles for you to read. This is actually probably the shortest amount of reading that you will have to do all semester. So what you're going to do is read the text of the Articles of Confederation. This, once again, will take you to an outside source, and you should be able to read it in its entirety. Next, you have an article from William Matthew Hall of Penn State that explains how the Articles of Confederation laid an important foundation for the establishment of our nation. As you read through the Articles of Confederation too, keep this in mind. At the same time that the Articles of Confederation had been drafted, the Declaration of Independence was being drafted too. So see if you see any connections between those documents as you move through. Well, go back. After you complete the reading assignment for this unit, you'll then move on to this week's discussion. Once again, just like last week, you'll have 3 questions to answer, and 2, just like last week, you'll respond to 2 of your fellow classmates in addition to making a regular post. Altogether, you should make 3 posts for the week. So your 3 options are thus. What were the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation? And why did those weaknesses exist? They are there for a reason. Point 2. How did the Articles of Confederation lay an important foundation for the establishment of the nation? And point 3. Does the legacy of the Articles of Confederation still play a role in national politics today? Now, this final question may require you to think outside the box and also think about some current political topics. If you do, I challenge you with the following task. Try to find an article somewhere online that you think ties in to the fears, perhaps the fears that you see that were embedded into the Articles of Confederation, or one of the beliefs that's in the Articles of Confederation. Where do you see that playing in national politics? If you could, pull that article in, make certain you cite the material, and maybe it'll provide a discussion point for us within the class. As always, this is meant to be a respectful class, so there is the possibility you may pull in a political article that others don't agree with. And what I can hope we will do is that we'll talk about both sides of the issue in a respectful manner. Remember, that is really what I'm looking for on the discussion board, in addition to the idea that you understand the material as well. So keep that in mind. As always, if you have any questions as we go forward, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Once again, I was really pleased with your work from last week. I will be grading your submissions on the discussion board, and you should see a grade for those items in your inbox by Wednesday. Thanks for being a great class once again, and I look forward to talking to you this week.